As we get ready for the second night of NHL action on the 25-26 NHL calendar, we have some big signings today, including a massive deal between the Winnipeg Jets and winger Kyle Connor. We also have an extension for Mattias Ekholm and the Oilers. We'll discuss both deals coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some pretty significant signings to start our day of NHL news here today. Of course, we know that a couple of players that are pending UFAs especially, and there's a few more besides the ones we're going to talk about today, we're kind of anxious to get something done before their first game of the NHL season so they can just focus on hockey, not have to think about the business side of things during the season. So we got a pretty historical contract in Winnipeg today for that franchise between the Jets and their top winger, arguably the top player, Kyle Connor. He signs the 8-year contract, $96 million in total. For context, when the owners of the Jets bought the franchise from Atlanta to move it back to Winnipeg, I think they only paid like $150 million or something. So it's really not that far off the mark, in terms of what that franchise was worth when it moved there. So this is a pretty significant deal for that team, for that city. And of course, Kyle Connor's been a significant part of their success. So keeping him was very, very important. The fact that he was, willing to entertain staying, obviously was good. And then they had to hammer out the structure here. So this is going to also not only be a historic contract in terms of how much they're paying Connor at $12 million a year, but the structure is a little bit of a stretch for this team and some of the smaller market teams, especially a couple of the smaller market Canadian teams who don't normally hand out a lot of signing bonus money. Now, in Connor's case, 8-year deal, $12 million per season. In the first 3 years, it's a split of a $7.5 million salary and a $7.5 million signing bonus. So he's basically being paid $15 million in real cash per season in the first 3 years. So it's very front-loaded, very bonus-heavy. Year 4, it goes to a $6 million salary, $6 million bonus. Year 5, it dips down a bit, $7 million salary, $2 million bonus. So we go $15 million per year in the first 3, then it goes to 12, and then we go to 9. Then it jumps back up in year 6, where he gets, again, $6 million salary, $6 million bonus. Year 7, it starts to drop a bit, $9 million total income, 4.5 salary, 4.5 bonus, and then the final year is just $9 million in salary. Of course, Kyle Connor gets a full no-move clause throughout the life of the contract. So, like I said, this is a very good deal for the Jets. Obviously, a very important player to keep. Considering Kirill Kaprizov just signed in Minnesota for $17 million per year, is Kirill $5 million per year better than Kyle Connor? I highly don't think so. Not a chance. Is Kaprizov better than Connor? I'm not even sure the answer is yes, but if for people who think that the answer is yes, I don't think there's any way you can argue that he's $5 million better. So to me, this is a phenomenal deal compared to that one. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. Look at, Mitch Marner's a $12 million winger. Connor's a $12 million winger. Eichel's expected to be a centerman in that 13-14 range, which is where Leon is. McDavid signs for 12.5. And Kaprizov 17. It's a little crazy, but we'll see how everything all works out here. The other big signing we got today as well is Mattias Ekholm is extended with the Edmonton Oilers. We discussed in last night's video that after McDavid was signed and Wallman was signed, that their attention was certainly on Ekholm. I think they had started talking to Ekholm even around the same time or before Wallman. It just took a little longer to get it across the finish line. But he gets a 3-year extension, so that's 1 year longer than Connor McDavid. $4 million per season. Again, generally speaking, for the defenseman Ekholm I think that's a pretty good value. He's getting a little bit older. My only concern with Ekholm is the injuries are starting to pile up, so I hope that he can stay healthy, and I hope that he can still be the player that he's been for the most part of his career. But $4 million for a top 4 defenseman, a guy actually plays top pair minutes, is a bit of a steal. So I think he's taking McDavid's lead here and not trying to break the bank, but at the same time, like I said, he's also at a different stage of his career, different kind of player, but a very important player for this team, and I hope he continues to be, can stay healthy, contribute like he did early in his time with the Edmonton Oilers, because he proved to be a very just a huge pickup overall. So this is a couple of big pieces of news for the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Oilers here this morning. Stay tuned. I've got another big prediction video coming out here this afternoon. We could have news on the NHL waiver wire as well. Some interesting names that could get claimed. So we'll be back later with more videos. Probably going to be at least 2 more, maybe even more today. Hard to say. I suspect all kind of pressure right now is on Jack Eichel to get a contract done before their opener game. So I wouldn't be shocked if we get Eichel news today as well. So stay tuned for that. Let me know your thoughts on these contracts in the comments. We'll talk further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.